Of all the weeks to say that, when Brianna's mother is in this chamber. Shame.
In the studio with us, political correspondent Alicia Fitzgerald and former advisor to Tony Blair, John McTernan. John, I've got to start with you because some people may say that Keir Starmer was being a bit performative and sort of pretending the degree of outrage that he had.
He utterly wasn't. He was furious. You saw him. He was silent. He was shaking and he couldn't believe it. And afterwards, I know he was vituperative about Sunak's behaviour. Because what Rishi Sunak did was utterly disgraceful.
Why?
Because he was making a jibe around trans issues.
He was making a jibe at Keir Starmer.
No, he was making a jibe about trans issues. His backbench.
No, he was literally making a jibe at Keir Starmer's inability to define what a woman is.
His backbenchers were behind him laughing.
Yeah.
It was a jibe
at Keir Starmer.
You did anybody
inability to define what a woman is.
No,
that's the jibe.
No, anybody with any.
So he was deliberately having a go at Brianna Ghey, do you think?
Anybody.
Was he?
He was having a jibe at trans rights.
He was having a jibe at Keir Starmer's inability to define what a woman is.
This is it's utterly ridiculous, and we know from Sunak's unwillingness, inability to decide whether to apologise or not. They were discussing in number 10, should he apologise? And Kemi Badenoch went, I'm going to send some tweets out. And the PM and his people say that he was bounced into not apologising, not being able to consider apologising because his minister put some tweets out. They're using that issue. Somebody was in the chamber. Sunak tried the line. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realise Brianna's mum was there. They are so aware that you should not make jokes up in front of a mother who lost her child. That's why Keir was so angry, because he couldn't believe the crassness of it. It is crass, and when you do something crass and stupid, you have to say sorry. What they've done is triple down, and I think that's what people can see in the papers, that's what people can see. How can you have no empathy for a mother who lost her child?
I disagree that was the issue. I don't think he was having a go at Brianna Ghey. Alicia, Labour are making a good amount of political capital out of this. Are they right to do so?
Well, this is it. So the issue is less about who it was aimed at and what the joke was and whether it was a joke. It's about the timing of it, and that's what Sunak is facing the brunt of today. It's about potentially a lack of self-awareness. You know, did he really read the room correctly when making this jibe? Whether it was a jibe at Keir Starmer, which it probably was, he clearly didn't intentionally say this in front of Brianna Ghey's mother, and he's come forward and said he didn't realise that she was in the gallery, he wasn't thinking. You know, that's what lots of people who are supporting him are saying. But the question here really is just about the timing of it. Was it appropriate to say at that given time? Could he have left it to another date?
And this is a week for the Prime Minister where he's come under quite a lot of criticism as maybe not being very good at the politics side of the PR side of the job, because he'd had that bet that he took with Piers Morgan, where some people are saying, you know, the more prime ministerial thing would have been to say, look, this is something too serious for me to gamble on. And now this, you know, for the Conservatives, is this a problem that the Prime Minister maybe doesn't read the room right?
Well, this is it, because he faced so much criticism after that bet, because his defence to taking that bet was, oh, I didn't see it coming, it caught me by surprise. And people are saying that's not really the best defence as a Prime Minister, that you just agree to things because they take you by surprise. People are maybe questioning whether Sunak has the ability to judge situations appropriately and maybe think about the bigger picture and the backlash. Because obviously what we saw with this comment that he made yesterday is that now, because he hasn't come forward and apologised, it just makes people think that maybe he isn't just aware of the impact of decisions he makes. And I think that is where the issue really is.
On this issue that he brought up in Prime Minister's questions yesterday, John, the Prime Minister is consistent. He's made that criticism of Keir Starmer beforehand, so it may have been a bit insincere if then yesterday he said, well, I'm not going to say things because I'm worried about how they'd be perceived, when we know he believes those things.
Well, you've hit on something that's really important there, which is I think he lacks empathy. So you can say... do
you need empathy to be able to run the country?
You definitely need empathy, because you're running it on behalf of people, families, communities, businesses. If you don't understand how they feel and how they respond to things, like, who's got £1,000 to put a bet on? I mean,
Well,
there's something...
both Rishi Sunak
well,
and
I
Piers
know,
Morgan.
but it shows you're different from the public. You're...
But the public
you
know
can
that
be
the Prime
different,
Minister has
yeah.
significant wealth. It would be worse to try and make a secret of that, wouldn't it?
No, it's kind of, again, it's kind of crass and insensitive. Cost of living crisis, but I like, oh yeah, I can easily wager £1,000 on sending people cruelly abroad. It's something about the way that he doesn't connect with the public. All prime ministers who are successful have a way of talking to voters. Boris had his way, David Cameron had his way, Tony and Margaret
If Boris
Thatcher.
Johnson had taken the bet, it wouldn't have caused the storm, would it?
That is true.
It's like his character. He's a playful character. He's still a playful character. Rishi is meant to be the technocrat, making the hard decisions, the right decisions, and then if I'm making the right decision, the hard decision, I'm looking at the spreadsheets, I'm doing it, you're not meant to be surprised. That's the thing is, the worst thing to have the dissonance between how you act and how you
I take your point.
images.
I mean, I don't want my leaders to have empathy. I want them to be able to do their job properly.